Hey, I'm Brian Kohn of Kohn Knives. This is my first looks at the 110-pound anvil that you can buy over at VEVOR.com. Let's get into it. Before we get too far off into this video, I've got to let you know that VEVOR reached out to me and sent me this anvil free of charge, but I'm not going to let that influence what I do or what I say about it. I'm going to say absolutely everything that I feel about this anvil just off of first looks at the very end of the video. So if you want to skip to that, I totally get it. This is the time code that you're going to need to skip to. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and tell you all about what I plan on doing to this anvil to make it ready for the forge. There are a few different things you're going to need to do to your anvil to make it forging ready, and I'm going to turn that into a whole series right here on the YouTube channel on how I'm going to deck this thing out and make it perfect for the knife maker. First and foremost, I'm going to need to make an anvil stand for it. I'm not quite decided whether I'm going to weld it out of steel or make it out of wood. There's a lot of camps in both directions, but along with that anvil stand, I'm going to need to deaden it because this thing rings like a bell. Here, take a listen. As you can hear, if you're going to be working on this thing, you're going to want to deaden that. There's a couple different ways. And between silicone, between chains, between putting magnets at the perfect spots, you can make this anvil nice and dull sounding, which is going to save your hearing if you're going to be wailing away on this thing all day, every day. Speaking of working on this thing every day, there's a couple different things you're going to need to do to this thing to make it ready. First and foremost, I'm going to put a radius all around on the corners of this anvil face because this thing is almost knife sharp. If I rub my finger the wrong way on this, I bet you I can draw blood. It's just so incredibly sharp. And the downside with that is if you have a sharp corner and you hit that with your hammers, that's going to make it much more likely to chip. Some people say that you should work this thing in over time, but I personally would much rather start off with a proper radius or a chamfer around this thing because that's going to make it a lot more safe. The next thing is this horn is nowhere near ready to go. First and foremost, there is texturing all over this horn that just happened with the casting process. And it is what it is. That's what you get for the price that you pay. But there is nice proper steel under all of this texture. So when I grind that away, it will reveal a much better horn underneath. I also feel that it's way too wide side to side because I like to use this portion of the anvil to, radius out big areas or put the contours into my handles. And to do that properly, I want it to be a little more round than what it currently is. But that should be a nice, easy process and will be a part of the total remake of this anvil. So I'm going to chamfer the edges. I'm going to redo the horn. And then I'm going to, after that, get rid of this blue color because for me, the blue color isn't going to mesh very well with my shop. I'm going to grind all the blue color off and probably replace it with black. Maybe do a couple more detail works on it just to really make it nice and pretty. But I really think that this anvil is in a decent shape, and with just a little bit of work, you can make it absolutely perfect. Let's talk numbers for this anvil. First and foremost, you know that it's 110 pounds. And if you check in the description at VEVOR.com, you can go ahead and pick this thing up before shipping for $199.99. Factor in the shipping, factor in the taxes. That's gonna get you this anvil delivered to your door for right around $2 a pound. If you're in the anvil game at all, you know that $2 a pound is an absolute screaming deal. And you're not going to be able to find a decent anvil for that price. Now, this thing's going to need a little bit of work to get this thing absolutely perfect. But for $2 a pound for a nice hard anvil that's gonna have plenty of rebound, I don't think that you're going to be able to find a better deal than that, even if you have to put a little bit of elbow grease to get this thing up and running. That's what I think. Honestly, going straight into my overall first looks at this thing, my first review, I think this is going to be absolutely perfect for the beginning knife maker. Now, think about what type of person of the beginning knife maker is. You're just getting into forging. You're deciding whether or not that this is going to be a long-term thing for you. And if you went the crazy route and bought an antique anvil, you're going to be spending $600, $800, thousands of dollars for an anvil. Well, you can get this one that's going to be more than adequate for your first couple years for $200 and just a little bit more for shipping. And it's going to be really nice rebound, really nice hard steel. I really think that this is going to be absolutely perfect for the new knife maker or for the knife maker that wants to upgrade from a railroad track or a cast iron anvil like that Harbor Freight anvil that I had before. This is going to be something that you can really upgrade to. It's not going to be absolutely perfect right out the box. Like I said, there's going to be a couple things that you're going to have to redo on it. But a little bit of elbow work is going to go a long way on this thing. And literally just a little bit of work is going to make this thing really perfect for your forge. So that was my first looks at the VEVOR 110-pound anvil. There's going to be a lot of content that I'm going to be putting out, decking this thing out, making it perfect for me. But I want to know what you would do to this anvil and what you're planning on making on an anvil like this. Are you making knives? Are you making swords? Are you doing rail work or other type of forging projects? I want to know what you would do to this anvil to make it perfect and what you would want to make on it. Let me know all of that stuff down in the comments down below. While you're down there, go ahead and check out my links down in the description. That's where you're going to be able to support me by checking out my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the other social medias. I appreciate you all. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.